Oh, yo, I'm sorry. I was vibing to that awesome podcast intro made by our guests that we're actually about to welcome in. But before we get to that, let me start with the introduction. So welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast, not only in America. Welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast, not only in the world. This is the greatest wrestling podcast in the universe. This is the Pin-Down. I'm your host, Desmond Pink. My name's actually spelled a little bit wrong in the intro, but we'll clean up and editing and whatnot, yada, yada. Wow, I'm just really excited and happy. This is episode 1. We're starting things off. Hopefully this comes to be a podcast that you guys like. But again, why wouldn't you like it? Because it's the greatest wrestling podcast in the universe. I'm not going to go to your introduction again. My guest, he's going to be with me for the first episode. We'll see if maybe he wants to come back in. So let me just go ahead and bring him in here for 1 second. Charlie, this is the guy that did that awesome kick-ass intro for our video. This has also been my best friend since 6th grade. So Charlie, if you want to go in, kind of plug yourself in, talk about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Charlie. I'm his friend, like you said earlier. I run a lot of the Blurred Approved Entertainment stuff, which you're watching now on the Blurred Approved Entertainment YouTube channel. Not only support my boy here on the Pin-Down show, but any other shows we have here. Besides that, you can also find me on my own podcast over at the Then and Not podcast on YouTube as well. And yeah, just do a lot of stuff here and there. I'm just glad to be here to support my boy in his first episode of his pod.
All right, my bad. I forgot to plug in the podcast, but like Charlie said, he's kind of here mainly to supervise and make sure that I get all the technical parts of it, kind of make sure it goes with what they do so greatly, might I add, at the Blurred Approved Entertainment podcast and all that. I've had a podcast before, Gospel Pink. You can go give it a listen. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everywhere else where podcasts are. Did pretty good there. It's kind of in a hiatus right now. I don't know if I'll bring it back or not. But right now we're kind of here to start something new about, what do you say, about, 3 weeks ago, Charlie? About 3 weeks?
Yeah, this has been in the making for a minute now. We've been kind of rebooting Bay in a sense and getting a lot of new, fresh, young blood in here for different shows. Right. Trying to bring you guys a variety of different podcasts on there. We got the Pin-Down is coming. Truth Is by Jaira. She'll be on there. And then me and my other colleagues will be on Game Chat, which is a basketball podcast. So we got trying to bring up.
Which definitely give their stuff a look at. It's definitely top tier premium content. But going back to about 3 months ago, they asked me if I would be I guess gracious enough to step in with them and kind of do my own podcast. And Charlie kind of already had an idea for what I could do because he knows I'm a humongous wrestling nerd, just anything wrestling. I'll try to know about anything wrestling. I'm going to give it a watch. Pretty much just wrestling. I watch wrestling every single day, probably every hour. We can make a case for that. My girlfriend definitely can. So I came here. So here we go. It's the Pin-Down. I'm happy to be here. So this being episode 1, we're just going to go and kind of talk about, I'll talk about my love for wrestling. Charlie will talk about his, I guess,
I'm a casual
review. Yeah, he's a casual. That's the word I was looking for. I could not find the word. But I'm talking at 100 miles per hour right now, so it's kind of hard for me to really think like I usually can when talking.
You're good, man. Take your time. It comes after a while.
It does, right? Yeah. But I'll try to slow down a little bit. We'll just see how it goes. I don't know. If you watch episode 1 of the Gospel Pink podcast, my God, that's not so good, top tier premium content. But I digress. So all right, so let's go. And so for me, I remember I got into wrestling. I want to say it was 2007, 2008. It was an ECW show. So this wasn't, of course, if you're a wrestling fan, this was the newly revamped ECW that they decided to do on WWE. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the first match I saw was Super Crazy versus somebody. I remember it being like a squash match. I remember Bobby Lashley, which is like one of my favorite wrestlers to watch right now. The dude is just a machine. I think he was in there. I'm trying to think. I think Chris Benoit might have been in there. And the first thing I remember is my mom and dad and everybody just talking about how these guys are on steroids. I didn't even know what steroids were at the time. I didn't care. I just saw somebody go through a table and my mind was blown because I was like, how's that even possible? And I remember my mom kind of like panicking a little bit because she didn't want me to watch all these moves and then go to school the next month because it was summer break and like try power driving a kid through a table. So for years, you'll probably hear many stories with this podcast about my mom just being afraid me watching wrestling. She didn't let me comfortably watch wrestling until I want to say 2014, 2015. She kind of realized that I was smart enough and knew that it was predetermined, that it was scripted. And also, it's not like they had the whole "please don't try this at home" come on every time you played the video games. And I guess my mom thought I was illiterate for whatever reason. But yeah, so that was like my first introduction. I'll go in a little bit more, but before I go in a little bit more to that, I kind of want to hear Charlie's kind of first introduction. I'm pretty sure it has to deal with 2 words, Rey Mysterio.
Of course.
That's like that's his.
That's my goal.
For you guys, that's Charlie's favorite wrestler of all time, probably. That's every time I saw him, always Rey Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, Rey Mysterio. And I love Rey Mysterio, but this man, oh my God.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of had a similar introduction. I think I may have been introduced a little bit before you, maybe like 2005 or 2006-ish. I can't remember what it may have been a Royal Rumble. I can't speak today. It may have been a Royal Rumble.
Did Rey Mysterio win the Royal Rumble?
I believe so.
Yep. So if he did, that was the Royal Rumble leading up to the WrestleMania. That is my intro, because you see him pinning Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Champion. So continue. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so that in particular, that Royal Rumble where Rey Mysterio won. Damn, that's a tongue twister. Yeah, dude was crazy. I just saw this little dude in a mask wearing these dope ass colorful leather pants, jumping all over the place and flying high, and like it was something about like seeing like a guy that was small throwing and like outmaneuvering these giants.
It was like a superhero, like it's like a
right.
It's like Spider-Man fighting like a bunch of big heavy dudes.
Literally, he's pretty much Spider-Man, pretty much with the mask and everything, and he had dope ass tattoos. So I was like, yeah, that's my dude. And since then, I watched a lot of wrestling from that point on, and played a lot of the WWE versus SmackDown games till like I think like 07 was like, that was my perfect one. That game was underappreciated for sure. But yeah, I watched a lot of wrestling content up until like maybe 2013, like 14, maybe like when you started to watch it comfortably at like 2014 is when I started to kind of stop watching it religiously.
So I was about to go into that. Thanks for kind of like unknowingly bringing me into there.
Mm-hmm.
But so prior to like most knowledge, I know when a lot of people talk about their love for wrestling, they're like, oh, I saw it at 7 and I was like completely into it. So I had a bit of an on and off, but it wasn't really like I outgrew it. I just I remember just not knowing where to watch it on TV. I remember like kind of not knowing too much about it. I also just felt like it was like too late. Like I like an example is Pokemon. So I didn't really watch Pokemon as a kid, and a lot of people love Pokemon, but I just feel like I'm too old now to get into Pokemon. So I think at the time that might have been my mindset as a kid. But I just remember knowing like very little bit about wrestling. My dad's like, oh, we used to watch wrestling back in the day, but like that was a way different wrestling. So I kind of had it on and off. My cousin bought me the video games, and my brother would buy me the other video games. So like I played 07, 09, 10, 11, and 12. And then I kind of just took a break from there. Didn't really watch wrestling. But then in 2013, I remember Bryan Danielson, AEW now.
Oh God,
was going against John Cena, for the WWE Championship. I just remember loving John Cena because around that time, like I saw some pay-per-views. I saw I don't think it was a pay-per-view that Ray won. I think it was the one after that. I watched that because my cousin had it on DVD, so you can tell how long ago this was because it was just a DVD collection that we had at his house. And John Cena was just a man. I just remember seeing him. I'm like, man, like he's so dope. I'm just like, who is this like short 5'8" dude fighting John Cena? Little did I know I kind of jinxed myself because now I'm like 5'8" and a half. So, that was kind of terrible.
Talking that shit.
Yeah, talk shit, get hit. As a guy told me, it was bad. But I'm just like, who is this like short dude trying to take on the man John Cena? But then like I slowly started liking him, and I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Because in my mind, I was like, you can only like one person. Like you can't like multiple people. Like kind of like when you're a kid, it's like you can only like one superhero. You can't like the whole Justice League. It's like, no, you either got Superman or Batman. Like you can't do both. But I'm just watching it, and I just remember watching it consistently. And I remember like my mom, like I would record it on the TV, and my mom would delete it because again, she was just worried that I was just going to go to school and like just start power driving kids, hitting kids with the FU, with the clotheslines. And she just didn't believe that like I was old enough and smart enough at that time to like not do any of that stuff because
So wait.
like I kind of just knew. Like I knew that you couldn't hit somebody with a chair and not go to jail in the real world. Like, you know,
So you telling me Daniel Bryan was your favorite wrestler then?
Who was my favorite wrestler at the time?
Yeah, you said Daniel Bryan, right?
Oh, it was definitely it was actually 4 people. It was Daniel Bryan, John Cena, CM Punk, because these guys were on fire at the time. And 5 people. I'm sorry, I can't count either. Sorry. So Daniel Bryan, John Cena, CM Punk, Goldust, and Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes is still top 5 favorite wrestlers right now. Like I have followed that man ever since I met him in 2013. I loved him when he was Stardust. I loved him when he went off to Ring of Honor, then AEW, do all of that. Now he's back in WWE. But no, those are my like guys. Like every time they were on the TV, man. And then like Daniel was on every show, so that made it even better. John Cena got injured shortly after he got injured before SummerSlam, and then he had to leave. But man, like I was just watching it as a kid, and then like I said, my mom finally let me have my piece and watch it because she was like, "Oh, he hasn't done any of this stuff yet at school, so like I guess he's fine." So
no Vin Diesel then.
Exactly. Yeah, she let me have my childhood for the last couple years. I guess we can say that. So she's not a terrible mom, by the way.
You telling me Vin Diesel wasn't your favorite wrestler then?
Say it again.
So you telling me Vin Diesel wasn't your favorite wrestler?
Can you? All right. So before we get into this, because I knew this man was going to bring something like this. So at the time, I was a humongous Fast and Furious fan. Before you'd be like, oh, because The Rock is a former wrestler. And he was in Fast and Furious. No, that has nothing to do with it. I just love Fast and Furious. And when I tell you I was obsessed, like I wore t-shirts like this, man. Like I would just be like finding like cross necklaces, bro. I used to be like kind of walking. I like was sometimes deep in my voice when I was trying to talk to girls. I had to be like, yeah, girl, because we're family. And like I remember it just being so cringe. Charlie would just let me do it. He would just be like, oh, let me guess, you watched like Too Fast, Too Furious for the 10th time? I'm like, dude, you know it. Like, I had nothing to do. I was at home. I popped out the DVD, put it in the PlayStation. But yeah, so we're not going to go into that anymore. We're not going to bring up my, this is a new chapter. I didn't bring that up in the old podcast. We're not going to bring it up in the new podcast. So let's just, let's nip that in the bud.
All right.
Let's talk about who's your favorite wrestler, J. Cole?
Bro, I wish that'd be fire. I mean, if Snoop Dogg can do it and Mike Tyson can do it, anybody can do it.
Look, man, all Snoop Dogg did was jump off the top rope, and all Mike Tyson did was just beat up people. They kind of just did what we expected them to, if I'm being honest when watching.
Shit, didn't Shaq he was on AEW recently, wasn't he?
No, Shaq did a match. So Shaq did a whole ass match. He was, it was him and Jade Cargill versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. And I remember like, I was talking to you about it because it was for the what's that? It was a holiday event. There's a whole where you got to wear green or you get pinched. I forget. St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
Yeah. Geez. Yeah. My girlfriend just looked at me like I was an idiot for not remembering that. But yeah. So they had a match. I remember talking to you about it, and I was just like, I'm not sure if this is going to be good or not. And you're just like, well, Shaq is an athlete, so like. He has the athletic chops for wrestling. And I was just like, like I kind of forgot that Shaq was a basketball player, like one of the best.
Yeah, literally probably like a top 10 basketball player of all time.
top five for my brother. If you talk to my brother, he'll say top 5 or maybe even number 1 because he just loves watching. Like he loves watching Shaq highlights, dude. I'll just walk in the room. He'll just be like, hey, watch this. Like I haven't seen this Shaq highlight 5 times on Instagram.
All right.
But
WWE though, why for people that don't know, this man is probably the biggest WWE historian that I know. So tell me like how did you get into like your depth of like WWE history in general?
Okay, so just like I guess anybody, this in general, if you like something and you want to become a fan or even consider becoming a fan, you're just going to go down the rabbit hole and try to find out stuff. So like for me, like I remember there was all these documentaries. I remember sorry. I remember documentaries. I remember kind of like this going on Wikipedia. I was like a humongous Wikipedia kid. So like if I love something or like somebody like an actor or whatnot, I would just go to their Wikipedia page and I would just find like all these facts about them. So that was a lot of it, to be honest. And then I say this as I kind of got older and like, you know, I got a job, I could buy like the WWE network. That was an app at the time for $9.99. I would just watch all these old matches, all these old interviews, all that stuff. So I would say that's kind of like how it came across. And then pro wrestling knowledge. I don't consider myself probably the best because I didn't get into things that were other than WWE until around like 2016. And 2016 was when ROH and New Japan were blowing up because you had the Bullet Club, you had Cody Rhodes. So like the Bullet Club was Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, which is one of my favorite current wrestlers going, and Tama Tonga and all those guys. So that's when. But as for like this learning history and aspect of WWE, it was just kind of more so one of those as I got older and just deep diving in. And I still do it nowadays. I'll like try to pick out documentaries I haven't seen or interviews I haven't catch.
Oh shit, that's crazy. I'm over interviewing you for your show.
Yeah. I mean, like,
go ahead, continue. My bad.
Well, I mean, it works out. I kind of did have a bit of a list, but I kind of trying to remember the list as I'm going. I'm kind of just going off the dome. I didn't really script this out. But I did know that one thing I wanted to say, kind of like my current love for wrestling, like, you know, my current interest now. So we kind of went over how it got started and then like the 2013 reunion, I guess you could call it. So now I guess we could talk about mine and yours, you know, because like, I know you say you're like a loose follower for the most part. Like
I'm out of the loop. I follow like Rey Mysterio and I follow the WWE Instagram account. Oh, you know, I follow Nikita Lyons now too, you know. Highlight the baby girl. Yeah, so I'll see like their highlights and I'll see like specific stuff that'll happen. But I haven't watched like a full SmackDown or Raw.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say, yeah. I was like, you're casual to where you'll probably know some stuff. Like I'm like, who's it? You're like, oh, that's Rey Mysterio, that's Dominic Mysterio, and like Randy Orton, John Cena. But if I were to show you like kind of like the newer wrestlers, you probably wouldn't know them like at all.
I know my girl.
You know, oh, shut up, man. Look, I don't know if I told you this. So this is what happened. So Nikita, right? So everybody was there. So like you had people who didn't even watch wrestling, like posting Nikita Lyons on NXT. Great talent. I like her. But, you know, for obvious reasons, other people like her. We're just going to do that, you know. And I was...
other reasons.
I was talking to my girlfriend about this. And I was like, so, like, everybody loved Nikita. Like, dude, like racism ended, like, temporarily in wrestling Twitter over Nikita. And next thing you know, like, you find out that she was, like, a Trump supporter. Like, all this.
Really?
And, dude, yes, dude.
No.
Like, your reaction now...
Oh,
all these people were like, "Oh no!" Like,
nah, and she's a black boyfriend. She's a black boyfriend too.
Yeah,
so
dude, all the black dudes were like, "Oh no!" All the white people were like, "Well, I don't give a shit." Like, you know, like, what does that guy do with me? Like this.
Oh man,
dude, you had like black women coming out the woodwork talking about, like y'all were giving this white girl all this attention, and like y'all didn't know. Like, dude, I just remember like
niggas like back to Sasha Banks.
But like she got shitted on like pretty bad, like, and I just remember like I'm not somebody who comments under stuff. I never got how people can just like comment under a lot of stuff randomly and like just negative stuff in general, like kill yourself, Nikita, like
Jesus Christ,
I hope you get hit by a car. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, like this. That's a whole nother topic. I'll probably make a whole episode on the wrestling community. It's one of the best communities, but also probably the worst community at the same time.
I can fix her though. I'll change her. I'll save her.
But there's this attacking her, man. I just remember just people being just so upset that like she was a Trump supporter. I just remember. I don't judge, however, your political opinion is your political opinion. This podcast isn't here to change any of that. This podcast is just here to talk about wrestling. That is what the podcast is for. Just, you know, just being honest, keeping it a buck. So you're expecting this to be some kind of, I forgot where I was going with this. We might try to edit that out. I kind of don't even remember where I was going with this, but I feel like I was trying to make a whole speech.
Long story short, if you like wrestling and you like being entertained, this is the podcast for you.
Yes, hell yes. That is exactly what I was going for. So let's circle back to like my current wrestling experience now. It's still very strong. Again, I watch wrestling. I watch wrestling every day. I feel like the only reason why I have like an Instagram and a Twitter and all that, instead of like just to post like my projects that I'll make like music and whatnot, is just to keep up with wrestling. Like I feel like that would be the only reason why I couldn't give up Twitter or Instagram, just because I would want to just use it just to keep following wrestling. Big fan of AEW, big fan of WWE. I don't believe in the bullshit of you can only like one. No, it's pro wrestling. You can like all of it, or sports entertainment, whichever one you call it. AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact, definitely. Got New
ECW?
Japan Pro Wrestling. Huh? ECW, you said?
Is that still a thing? ECW.
No, ECW folded in the early 2000s. Then they brought it back, but then it folded, but then they got rid of it again.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, ECW hasn't been around in a decade plus, I want to say. Yeah, definitely a decade plus. But yeah, I'm a big fan of all those. I want to say when it comes to, I guess I'll just do Dree, just to kind of keep it easy, Dree for AEW and WWE, since those are like my two. Well, sorry, I'll do for TNA too, so 9 altogether, but I'll make it quick. So number 1, probably favorite wrestler WWE. I'm not gonna lie, probably Randy Orton. Everything the dude does is gold. Like how he talks, how he walks down that ramp, his in-ring work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Charlie hitting the post. Everything that man does is just absolutely goated, absolutely beautiful. Second, you can call me a mark, I don't care. Cody Rhodes. Again, he's just one of those dudes that, like, he just, in my opinion, established himself differently than everybody. And number 3, I gotta acknowledge my tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Again, same category as like with Randy and Cody Rhodes. They just carry themselves a certain way that just makes you kind of like just get really invested. The Roman Reigns and Jey Uso storyline, to me, is probably top 10 best WWE storylines of all time, in my honest opinion. We can debate that later. We might have a debate episode, hopefully, soon. When it comes to AEW, Hangman Page, most definitely. I love Hangman Page. Love everything he does. Let's see, number 2, Bryan Danielson. Yep, sorry, Bryan Danielson. Again, this, in my opinion, probably top 5 best wrestlers currently going now. Number 3, I would probably have to say it's a 2-way tie between Kenny Omega and probably John Mox. No, Claudio. Sorry, yeah, sorry, Kenny Omega and Claudio. He just WWE Cesaro. He just debuted at the recently Forbidden Door pay-per-view. So those are my 3 guys. And then for Impact, just the whole Honor No More guys. That's like filled my list. I love Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett and all those guys. I just love all of them. Those are like my favorite wrestlers just to watch and even just follow on Twitter, because they're always doing all this like nice kind of like love yourself advice, helping with mental health stuff. So those are just my guys right there, if I'm being honest. Those are I like them for maybe that reason more so than their in-ring work. Kind of like I just like them as a person, so I just automatically like them as wrestlers.
So what you got to do now that you talked about all this wrestling, you got to have an episode where you just come out in a singlet and you record the whole episode in a singlet.
Oh, man.
Kurt Angle shit. Let's give up. Let's go get a singlet.
Kurt Angle goes. Jesus Christ. All right, well, look, man. I love wrestling. That's all I'm going to say. I love pro wrestling, okay? Pro wrestling has been good to me when I was happy, has been good to me when I'm depressed, has been good to me when I'm in the middle, dude. Like, pro wrestling has just been very excellent to me. I actually have dreams to want to work in the pro wrestling industry. I don't know if it's to be as a wrestler. I would like for it to be, but I'm not gonna lie. This with the past military, this other stuff I kind of did to my body as a kid, I'm kind of just don't know about my body and how it would hold up. And when I do some other things, we're not really going to go into. But I'm like, I would definitely I wouldn't mind being like, I'm a big screenwriter. Like, I would definitely wouldn't mind being a writer or just helping this like commentary wise. I feel like I could definitely mark out on commentary over matches and spots, especially like if it's people I really like. So
and let's get up with that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even the intro, the music I made, the instrumental for the intro. I would make wrestlers music. I do that like all the time. Like I'll occasionally just kind of challenge myself to like make a theme song for certain wrestlers. So AEW, Impact, WWE, New Japan, if you're watching, give your boy the tryout, help me out here. Life is hard, inflation, all that. Your boy eating TV dinners for a living now. I'm slowly losing my muscle mass because of that. But so anything you kind of want to go into, Charlie? Maybe like a controversial wrestling opinion, maybe you got, or maybe something you feel about wrestling.
We talked about this a little bit on Then and Now a bit. And one thing that I always want to bring attention to is that I feel like the WWE entertainers are really underrated in regards to their acting ability. I feel like a lot of the really bad movies starring wrestling stars, I feel like was more of a compilation of the bad directing, the bad screenwriting, and stuff like that. Because I don't see how you could be a bad actor when you go out and you portray a character, and if you're someone like a Randy Orton or a Cena, where you portray different versions of that character in front of 60 to 100,000s of millions of people live, and then you're doing that with your body on top, like you're selling not only your voice, your face, but your body acting as well. It's just so much going into it, and to be convincing with that.
So I know one thing. I was kind of I think I forget who said it in an interview, but I know like back then when a bunch of wrestlers do like the WWE films, like WWE films,
like Kane did that one.
Yeah, like the one that See No Evil, the Marine, 12 Rounds, all those. They say like they more so only do it because like they were asked to do so, and that they would like very much still like wrestling over Hollywood. But then you have people like Batista, or Dave Batista, The Rock, John Cena, those guys who like kind of did movies and then they kind of liked this and started looking at it a certain way. And now like you have John Cena and Suicide Squad now, and as Peacemaker, you have them doing like big movies now compared to like all the small time kind of like crappy movies. Not to hate on my man John Cena, love John Cena, but some of his movies were not it. Just going back and watching it as a grown man. Even like David Batista, he just did Dune. Like that was a big time good movie. Mm-hmm. The Rock, he's doing Rock movies.
That's my point. Like The Rock. He's transcended all that stuff. He's become his own phenomenon. But I think John Cena and Batista are like the key examples of when they weren't in these big time production movies where they didn't have high quality directors and just assets to them. They're making pretty shitty movies. But once you give John Cena, James Gunn, and then you get Peacemaker, where he was so popular, he had his own show that was arguably better than a lot of the shows that came out this year.
Agreed.
Dave Batista, he's Drax the Destroyer. He's a whole character that people love.
Which James Gunn too helped him.
Yeah, give James Gunn these wrestlers, man.
I was about to say that. Give James Gunn any wrestler, bro. He's gonna.
And that's like that character of Drax. The character of Drax is so like out of like what Batista was in the WWE. So like it just shows his range to where he's like this like 100% weird dude that doesn't understand any kind of sarcasm or mannerisms. Like he's like it's just two different people, and he just does so well with it.
I can also say the same to go from like John Cena with Peacemaker. I remember Charlie was like, "I'm gonna judge your boy John Cena as Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad movie." I remember I was in the Army at the time and I had work, so I was like, "Oh, I can't stay up and watch this." So I remember Charlie called me because they were reviewing it for their podcast, and he was like, "Hey boy, like your man John Cena did good," and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like I'm happy that like John Cena again. I remember watching it. And I remember being like, "Yo, like he's really good." And then I watched Peacemaker on HBO Max, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I think it's the 4th episode where this like the last 10 minutes. Dude, I don't know. I just didn't expect John Cena to have that much range. Like he really drew me for a loop. Even like somebody who's followed him like as like just an actor, obviously, but as like a wrestler, he showed range in wrestling, but never like to that extent where I was like kind of like just appalled at like just how good he was as like an actor. And I was like, well, like so like he's not just like a wrestler trying to get a check, he's not like a wrestler just well, I might as well give Hollywood a shot. I got millions of dollars, he's like actually treating it the same way he approaches wrestling. Like he's wanting to pick up something new every day. He's willing to get out of his comfort level and try some stuff. And like, that just made me really happy, just to kind of like, and even I feel like it even made me feel better being a fan of his too. Because it didn't make it just look like I was like this dick riding John Cena and whatever he did. Like John Cena wants to become a baseball player. Like, oh, like, you know, like he's gonna be great.
Right.
Like, he's John Cena. Like, so that was a very good take. I feel like when it comes to yeah, I feel like that's a very good take. I kind of never thought to even talk about wrestlers and movies in Hollywood and this, you know, of course, them being underrated. Of course, I always preach how underrated I feel like wrestlers are, just because of like what they do. Like, I don't think any normal, average, run-of-the-mill person could go through like 2 tables and then travel to the next town and wrestle the next night. Like, I'm just
do it again.
Yeah, exactly. I would do it again at any given moment if they're asked to. Like, you know, I just like, you know, even me, like I consider myself a, I guess, like slightly tough person, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like if I were to get slammed to your table right now, I don't think I could just get up and dust it off and, you know, just not cry about it, at least, you know.
Right.
You know, but again, that's why they say, please do not try this at home. I'm not gonna lie, I've never been tempted to. On the trampoline, maybe, yes, but never on my like living room carpet, on my hardwood floor. Never, not once.
It's interesting, man. It's really dope. I mean, it's like live theater almost. Like people love going to theaters or plays. It's like that, but dudes are doing quadruple backflips off of top ropes, and these guys have like 40-inch verticals and shit.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard it been called advanced ballet. I kind of heard it being called that, and or like deadly ballet. I think one of those. And like I agree, and then also like this you kind of just realize like how strong their bodies have to be, how conditioned they have to be, because I played basketball with Charlie. Humongous basketball fan, and humongous is like he's just like playing basketball. And I played it with him, and I remember like not even 5 minutes in, and I was like winded, and like I was in good shape. I was like maybe 160. I was I just got done doing wrestling. I think I was like working out every day, doing cardio, and I just remember being like gas, and Charlie's just like dribbling, just doing all these drees. I'm like doing drees, and it's coming up short because I don't have muscle.
And I was out of shape.
So
that's me out of shape. So I can't imagine being like a professional. I'm like, these dudes can run all day. They can run all day.
Exactly, yeah. Like Kurt Angle was like one of the guys that everybody was like, who is somebody that just doesn't run out of steam? And they're like, Kurt Angle. And then like you can go back and watch his matches. Like that dude was like fast paced. He was like he suplexed like, I think it was 3 guys, and he did it like he gave them each 3 suplex. And I'm not talking about like kind of like the low drop. I'm talking like the high up launch over his head suplex, and that just takes.
Well, this like, I guess this is a little bit of WWE history I know. Kurt Angle's an actual like wrestler. Like he wrestled.
Yeah, like won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. Yeah, like he.
Right. So people that don't know, because me and Jeffrey both wrestled in high school. I think I wrestled maybe a little bit longer than him. Maybe I think I wrestled for a full year. Did you not go through the full year? Anyway, but if people have not wrestled, that sport to me, in my opinion, is the most cardio demanding in sport you will ever play.
Agreed. Because
you're constantly fighting somebody your own body weight and size and similar strength levels consistently for like minutes at a time. So for the dude to do that at the Olympic level, and you're kicking people's asses at the Olympic level, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. That's a level of cardio and like in being in shape that most people don't have, even other professional athletes.
No, and I 100% agree. Especially one way like I even tried looking at it is like, it's not only having to like battle somebody with their own body weight and even your own body weight at times, but it's like having someone like go into the top rope, jump, land on you, and then you have to get back up and like slam that person or pick up that person after getting landed on. Like that's like the equivalent of like somebody falling on you and then you having like to get up and like run a lap or like get up and bench press some weight on you. Like, so I just find like just not only just the cardio, but also just like the muscle endurance and just body endurance as well. Just insane. Like this, you know, like to me, they definitely have like 100% of my respect. That's kind of why like I think I'm a little shy to really like I'll criticize, of course, you know, because if you love anything, I feel like you're going to criticize it. You love just anything just in general, but I'll like very careful on finding the borderline of criticizing and talking shit, because these guys are doing like things that I feel like I couldn't do, and I honestly don't know if I ever could do, because like I've never stepped into a ring, I never taken a slam, I've never been landed on from the top rope. So I just try to leave like the shit talking, and also let this just be a message to the people who are in the wrestling community on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are. If you haven't stepped in a wrestling ring, if you haven't done any of this, maybe just be careful shit talking. Leave the shit talking to the people who actually have done all that stuff. Maybe. But if you haven't done any of that, just Charlie, you can censor this. Shut the fuck up. This you know, don't shit talk. Be nice. Yeah. Be nice. Be nice.
We grown in here. We grown.
Exactly.
I'm the daddy. I'm grown.
Yeah, act your age. Get off your parents' insurance. I was trying to turn that in, but that's what we're going to have to do. But I think we're going to wrap it up around here. We kind of got the message of what the show's going to be, what we hope to do. We kind of just hope to bring you a good wrestling podcast. Every now and then we're going to have like fun debates. We're going to do like fun trivia. I don't know many wrestling fans just around my area. So maybe hopefully as the podcast grows and we can find more people, and maybe I can bring them on. Maybe if I'm lucky, and I guess lucky enough and just pretty enough, I can snag some interviews from wrestlers and pin wrestlers. I already have a list of people in my head that I would just love to interview. You know, I'm probably keep that list secret for now and just kind of reveal it as I interview those people. But I'm just hoping that I can just bring you guys top premier content like my boy Charlie does with his group, and I guess my group now, since I'm part of it, Blair the Brood Entertainment, and also his other podcast, Then and Now. And I just hope I can kind of bring you guys the same entertainment and joy that maybe I won't get close to the level that wrestling has brought me, because that's just so much. But I just hope I can bring you guys enough to maybe forget about your day, or maybe if you've fallen out of wrestling, I can reignite your love for wrestling again, and then you can just maybe come here one day and just talk about it with me. But yeah, just that's what I hope I can do for everybody out there watching or listening to this. Charlie, you have any closing remarks before we sign off?
Oh man, thanks for having me on for the first episode. Dude, I can't wait to see how this podcast grows. And to see how we here at Blur to Prove Entertainment make some more dope shit. We're in the profession of making dope shit, and this is some dope shit.
Yeah, but I also want to give Charlie a big fucking round of applause for helping me with the setting all this stuff up. I already had a podcast, but mine was like pretty basic, A to B. He's showing me all this cool stuff I can do to kind of bring more eyes and more attention. So I would like to give him just a big round of applause for everything he's done, for even mentioning this idea and bring it up to me. He kind of know I've been sitting on it for a little bit, but thanks to him for actually getting me off my ass to actually do this and even have fun. It's only been 38 minutes. I'm fucking excited just for the future and everything that we're about to do. So again, very much thank you. I know I told you this earlier, but I just want to say it again for everybody here. Listen, I want you to get your roses while you still alive,
Damn, nigga, I ain't going nowhere for a minute. I don't plan to go anywhere. Man,
life is a weird thing.
Don't wish that shit on me. Don't wish the evil shit on me.
Well, man, I just you know how my mind works. I just want to
But I appreciate it though, man. For real.
All right. Well, fine. I won't give you your roses. I'll give you some daisies. How's that? I'll just make sure you. Okay, I'll give you your daisies. I'll give you your daisies and a signed J. Cole T-shirt.
I'll definitely take that.
Yeah, proverbially, not physically. Yeah.
Damn, I'm hurt. That's cool.
One day, nigga. One day, I got you. One day, I'll establish my reign as the best friend. One day, one of these days. But yep. So this is the Pin-Down. I almost said Gospel Ping podcast, dear Lord, but no, this is the Pin-Down. I'm your host, Desmond Pin. This is Charlie Wilson. I look forward to talking to you guys again. For now, stay safe. Please don't try anything that the professionals do at home, and Godspeed.